Thank you for listening to Lone Star Community Radio. This program was broadcasted and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. Lone Star Community Radio is supported by listeners like you. Donate and sponsor today. For more information on getting involved with Lone Star Community Radio, contact us at lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com. We're live here on Mornings with Lone Star.
From the heart of downtown Conroe, Texas.
Lone Star Community Radio. That's right. It is 9:04. Sorry for all those promos. I was trying to get us up on YouTube and Facebook. It's a process. But we are live on YouTube and Facebook with Mornings with Lone Star right here with Brett Hainley. He is in the studio with us. Before we get to him, I want to remind folks we are here every weekday from 8 to 11 a.m. Monday through Friday. Every weekday. That makes sense. But yeah, it's Thursday. It's a beautiful day. And Brett is my only guest today, so it's just going to be him and we're going to hang out. He is an author. If you're on YouTube, Facebook, he is, I put a link to the book, Rocket Science. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And then if you have any comments or questions, visit us on Facebook at Mornings with Lone Star, or if you're watching on YouTube, you can do the comment section right there because I'm looking at it right now. So, Brett, welcome to the new studio, man.
Yes, it is a beautiful studio.
Yeah, I was very surprised that I landed here. And then,
here?
Yeah, and then Sean left.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, guess what? We got a new studio. Really?
Really? Well, I'm going to take a job at a competing community radio station.
Yeah. I mean, I guess technically. Did they? I don't really know. But he does have a show on Monday. If people don't know who Brett is, Brett Hainley's an author. We're going to be talking about the book in a bit. But he's been on the show before, and one of our connecting Kevin Bacon thing is Sean, who is
Sean Keith Thompson, who is the editor-in-chief of
Woodlands Online.
Woodlands Online, yeah.
Not this book, not Rocket Science.
No, he did not edit my book.
He did not edit that.
No.
So I thought he was the editor of everything. He edited everything.
Yes, he edits everything. New York Times, that's Sean. Washington Post, Sean.
That's Sean.
London Times, Sean.
Yeah, The Inquirer, Sean.
Sean.
Yeah, Playboy, Sean.
Sean. Tokyo Gazette, Sean.
Sean. But that's how we know each other. So if we say something that's like, oh, these guys already, it's like we're joining in a conversation that we're already having. But yeah, we both know Sean, and I know you're a theater dude.
Yes.
Or I like to call them thespians. And is that the correct term?
Thespian is correct term.
I don't know if it's canceled yet.
It's with a P, not a B. Thespian.
Thespian. Yeah, I
Yes.
feel like that's one of those words people get canceled for because they misinterpret it. Like, what is the thespian? What are you calling me?
Actually, there was a famous, I think it was a presidential race where
I gotta look this up.
one guy accused the other guy's sister of being a known thespian.
And he thought it meant something else.
Everybody else thought it meant something else, but it always just meant actor.
Yeah, that's what I always thought.
This was back in like 1900s or 1890s, something like that.
But I could see that word being important today because it clarifies I'm a stage actor or I'm a TV screen actor. Because those are two different types of acting.
Generally, you refer to yourself as a thespian if you're an actor. I am an actor. I am a thespian.
So like George, what's his name? What's that guy's name from The Godfather? Orson Welles. He considers himself an actor.
Marlon Brando.
Hold on, why did I say Orson Welles? They're the same kind of ego, right? That's what.
Well, Orson Welles was an actor and a director. Marlon Brando was just an actor, and he was not a thespian. He was a method actor.
Oh, there's
from the New York School method.
Oh yeah, because I didn't know that about.
There's actually two methods. There's the New York School method, and there's the Stanislavski method.
Yeah, because that's the Russian guy, right?
Who taught in the United States, but yes.
Yeah. Well, because I was listening to a podcast with John Berthamall. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. He's the Punisher on Netflix.
Uh-huh.
And he was talking about he went to school in Russia.
Yep.
For acting, and that's where like that guy started writing about that method.
Yeah. Stanislavski.
Stanislavski. But it was really, I didn't even know there was different versions of acting or teaching of acting, if that's what it's called. But I was amazed by that because it was a whole different, like, he was explaining the timeline of like when these acting schools or thoughts were born.
Yeah.
And it's really on the other end of the world, they're doing a completely different thing. So if you're in the 1800s traveling the world, you would see different acting when you go to
Yep.
go to the plays. Like, it'd be completely different,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool. Well, the plays would be different because they're written by different people, but I mean,
True.
but it's just the methods of the acting, which I still don't get. It's kind of like when you listen to like baseball players talk about pitching, and you're like, man, I don't really know what you're talking about. Like, you're going into too much detail about holding a ball, and it's like I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, film changed acting.
Because we could see it more, or
Because you could see it more because, okay, up until film was a big thing, acting was all about being heard clearly. So you had, in almost every theater, you had a voice teacher who taught dumb little yabos like me how to speak correctly. And you would speak in rounded tones so that everyone could understand everything you said. Sorry about that.
Very good. I was I know the audience is like, oh, God.
But, and it was all about projection. It was all about being heard. It was about spitting out the lines.
Yeah.
So Stanislavski comes along in, I want to say the 30s, maybe a little bit later. His school of acting didn't really pick up until about the 40s. But he taught about becoming your character, about sympathizing with your character, and, well, what would my character do in this case? The whole thing about be a tree. You say, well, if you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be? I'd be an oak tree. Okay. Well, stand stiff and tall like an oak tree. How does an oak tree feel? Blah, 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 blah.
I can't believe that's real.
Which
But
is,
real.
it's actually an exercise,
Oh, I
and it's
know,
hard
yeah.
to do. You don't do it actually on stage, but you do it as an exercise because it helps your brain get out of your own space and into the space of the character.
Yeah, acting seems like a lot of fun.
New York school method takes that one step further, and it goes towards
Like if you're
being the character.
so you're doing heroin because your character's a heroin addict.
Yeah, to a certain extent, more like that weirdo who played the Joker, second
Heath
to last
Ledger.
year. Not Heath Ledger, after him.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Not Joaquin.
Oh my God,
Between Joaquin
there's a
and
lot of people.
Jared
Leto.
Jared Leto. Jared Leto is a New York school actor, is a New York school method actor, and he's, it's like,
Well, he's terrible.
we do it this week. Well,
So
he's not actually a bad
I'm
actor. It's
kidding.
just his characters are horrible characters.
well, he actually did a movie about heroin, and I'm wondering if he did heroin.
Uh-huh.
Did he really do heroin?
I probably, I don't know. I know that when he was playing the Joker, he
Wanted to be crazy.
did some
Well, yeah.
questionable pranks on his.
Okay. Well, it's kind of like Andy Kaufman movie with Jim Carrey. There's a whole documentary based off his behavior
Yeah.
as an actor, acting in that Andy Kaufman biopic film he did.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think he's a New York guy, is he?
Yeah, New York school. I mean, you don't have to be from New York to subscribe to the New
okay.
York school. It's the school. It's like, you don't have to be named Mondrian to be a Mondrian school artist.
No, don't look at it. He wants to pay his bill.
He what?
He wants to pay his bill. This is where utility billing used to be. So
Oh.
I'm convinced for the next 10 years we're going to get people randomly trying to come into the studio and have
10.
their,
Only 10?
Yeah. And now he's waiting. He's like, that's pretty
Here
funny.
at the ground floor of the beautiful Conroe Tower in gorgeous downtown Conroe, the shining jewel of the north central greater Houston metropolitan area.
So what I wish we had was when he touched the doorknob, it beep. Like, beep. And they're like, and then like, not utility billing.
So you kind of need a big sign
I
like
need
you
a
used to
big
have at the
sign.
old
Yeah.
thing that you can turn on that says "On air, don't bother me."
Yeah, I'm working on that right now. I'm gonna put it over here in the corner. We got some stuff going on, and
I see that.
the desk was the first one to get done. But the reason we're talking about acting is your book
Yes,
is connected to that
yes, it's
because
about
it's a fiction book.
yes,
Right, it's
it's
not
a fictional book.
fictional
novel.
book.
It's a novel.
A story about community theater and actors.
Yes, yes. It is
So let's
mostly
talk a
about
little
the
bit about
actors, less about the theater. Go ahead.
So is it more? Is this book? I'm holding it in my hand so people can see it, and there's a link to purchase it on Amazon in the description below. It's called Rocket Science, and from what I understood, it was basically just about the people involved with a community theater, but it's about the people. 'Cause
Yes.
a lot of times what people don't realize is it's almost like a dysfunctional family
oh yeah,
at these community theaters because you'll get people who 10 years ago were in a play and then they come back and they treat it like, oh, I'd never left.
Yeah.
And then people know people. It's really weird.
Well, people in theater, whether it's professional or amateur,
Yeah.
are super broken people.
Yeah, I believe that. Well, I think everyone's broken. Everyone.
Well, yeah, but you know a lot of actors, so you
Even those people out there, they're broken.
Nah,
They're broken.
no, not as bad. Actors are pretty broken. So, see, the thing is
don't know.
art never comes from a safe place.
Yeah, I always feel like the actors are, in a sense, brave enough to let go. Well, they're brave enough to let go and have fun.
Well, yeah, there's that.
So,
but there's a lot of alcohol involved. So
well, yeah, certain people. But I'm just saying because it's like, to get the tree example you were talking about.
Yeah.
Like no one wants to convince themselves most of the time. Like I'm not going to pretend to play this.
Oh no!
But
They're not pretending.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
They're not being themselves.
They're a
That's
tree.
what's awesome is we see the thing about acting, and this is why actors are so broken. Or it's not why actors are so broken. Actors are broken because of
Because their dad.
Sure, their dad, their mom, their dad, their
I
mom.
can't believe you
me.
broke somebody.
Oh God, yes.
Way to go, Dad.
Yeah. Well, man,
Well, what I meant by that comment was, like, if you go up to a person and give them the prompt of, like, hey, be an oak tree, a lot of times they don't want to, like, they're like, I'm not going to play that game. But when you get an actor, they're like, okay, I'm going to try, I'm going to do this. Like,
Yeah.
I am going to do this.
because it's an opportunity to not be them.
Yeah, well, okay, I guess that's sad. And, well, hey, you know
That's
what
the thing is, if
you know
you're
what I would-
voluntarily
you know
being
what-
somebody
I
else,
would
then
tell
you
that
are
person-
broken. You're super broken.
I would tell that person, I go, you know what's weird about that? Well, regardless, it's going to end at one point.
Well, yeah. Well,
So, I mean, I guess you just want to pretend to be
I
other
don't know.
people.
You go out to San Antonio; those trees are over 300
Yeah.
years old. So
They're all actors. That'd be really. That'd be a great
That was
movie.
it.
That'd be a great twist at the end. Like all the trees. Oh, these are just people who convince themselves to be trees, and guess what happens? They turned into trees. Wild.
yeah, they saw Santa Ana coming. They're like, you know what? I'm an oak tree.
Yeah, and then. But so this is about people who are involved in the community theater,
Yes.
and I guess it's one of those things. Would you call it a dark comedy?
It's a classic comedy.
Okay, because you already told a lot of depressing things about actors, so it's like,
Oh yeah, I mean, look, just because you're broken doesn't mean that you're not living your best life. I mean,
I guess.
hell, I'm broken. Everybody knows that.
Yeah,
My own nieces and nephews call me the crazy uncle.
I like it. I used to have one of those. He sadly won.
Well, I'm not that kind of crazy uncle.
No, one time he was sitting there. We were at our family gathering, and he goes, "You know how lucky you are to be alive." And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "But do you know how lucky you are to be alive and to be you?" And I was like, "Yes." And he's like, "Let me tell you about the stars and how the galaxy works and how unique." He started going into this huge thing, and I was like, "All right, cool. Can I go back and play basketball? Like everyone's playing basketball." And so I was like, "That crazy uncle." Yeah, I mean, he's right. I get it, but
Yeah, I never did that kind of thing.
You never did that?
No,
You
no.
don't-
I honestly don't know why I was called the crazy uncle.
I-
Except for I don't spend a lot of time with my family and
people,
people,
yeah.
you know. But yeah, actually, it sounds like
That's why you wrote a book.
Sounds like your uncle is Tyson. Yeah, well, I had a writing teacher once tell me that we write because we weren't invited to the party, and I'm like, okay.
Well, what inspired you to write this story?
What inspired me to write the story?
Because I mean, clearly you do community theater at one point in your life. You did.
Yeah, I
So you
I
kinda
still
had
do
to-
it when I can. I mean, I don't act anymore because I don't like it.
Yeah.
But I do direct when people ask me to.
Yeah.
But what inspired me to write the story is that the words were in my head and they needed to be on the page.
So it wasn't necessarily. Was it more of the characters, and you need to put them in a setting, or was the setting the first thing? Like, I want to write something about community theater, and then I created these characters, or was it vice versa?
It was neither. It was word follows word follows word follows word
Okay.
follows word.
That's scary. So it's like you're not even writing your own story; someone else is. Like,
Yeah,
like,
I'm one of those weird writers who it's all about words on page.
okay.
You know, which is why.
There's no writer's block for you
Oh, no.
because you're just
Not
putting words on
actually.
page. You're just like,
I have a writer's block like thing that happens
Okay.
because social media is my hobgoblin.
What does that mean? Like it's
It
terrible?
just no, it follows me around and distracts me from
Oh,
doing
okay.
the writing because my weird brain makes me put words on page,
Yeah.
a certain number of words per day.
Oh, so you have to do it.
But if I'm screwing around on social media,
Those
writing my stupid opinion about I don't know the war in Ukraine, 300 words there. That's 300 words that probably aren't going to get on a page of a
true.
novel or a short story
You only have so much in the tank.
per day. Yeah.
Yeah, per day. That's funny. I didn't even think about it like that. That's kind of scary. Now, like, you wake up, you have to be very careful. You're like, all right, if I just go, I need to grab a pen, not a keyboard. Yeah.
Well, so yes, the problem is I write on a keyboard.
Yeah.
I can't even read my own handwriting if I write.
Yeah.
in
I wonder,
longhand.
do you think they're going to get rid of handwriting in like 50 years?
Who?
Like the society.
Oh, what? Get rid of handwriting?
Handwriting. Like
No,
completely.
it won't be completely gotten rid of, but you'll see it a lot less. I mean,
Because I think I would predict the last thing to go when it comes to handwriting is your signature. If they replace your signature with like a blood drop thing or whatever, in the future, like I'm talking about like sci-fi stuff.
yeah.
That's what I think the last written word will be like your signature. Like the most people who write, because most people it's like, hey, we need your signature. Okay.
Well, I mean, writing is still
Yeah, but like
still there. Well, as long if you got a stylus, a lot of people use their phone
see,
as a notebook.
you see, I
using
don't
a
I don't see
stylus.
people doing that. I don't know why. I never really because I know the technology exists.
Well, it's
we're-
because most people who would do that actually just have a regular notebook.
Yeah, that's true. Because I have a notepad right here. And I'd rather
You
use
know-
this to do my notes for shows and things than a computer.
Because there are some times when it's easier to just pull out the notebook and write it down
Yeah.
than it is to get out the
So
phone.
you don't
turn
think
it on,
we'll ever get rid of the paper?
No.
We'll never get rid of, or not paper, like the handwriting.
We won't ever get rid of paper.
See, I can see us getting rid of paper,
Nah.
but I can see us using tablets and stuff, like writing on tablets or whatever. But when they do the Neuralink thing, you don't even have to do anything. You just talk to each other through your head.
Oh, that would be horrible.
That's what they're trying to do.
No,
I'm just kidding. That's not
you
what
want
they're
people
trying to do.
think about your worst possible thing.
Yeah, but we get over
Think
that real
about your
fast.
worst possible
That's
thought.
a movie. That's probably a movie plot.
I mean-
but like we would get over that really quickly because everyone's in the same boat.
Really? Do you get over it if somebody breaks into your computer?
No, but you're breaking into their computer too. It's going both ways. It's not one way.
Do you really want to know what your wife's worst possible thought is?
But you can't help it. That's human nature. You're going to want to know. So everyone's going to be knowing about everybody.
Oh, no. I don't want to know what my wife's worst possible thought is.
Oh no! When you turn that machine on, you have no choice. Like you're just going to do everything, all at once.
Yeah, see, that's the problem. See, that's why it's so scary to me.
I think it'd be hilarious. That would be a really funny movie where they connect everybody, and then like the main character chooses not to go. Like he misses that day to get the chip implant because he got like threw up or something, and he's like, oh, I'm 10 minutes behind, and then all of a sudden everyone's connected but him, and he's like trying to talk to people, and no one will talk to him because everyone can talk. In
Well,
their
that sounds
heads.
like one of the horrible just Twilight Zones.
See, I'm already almost
There was
there.
finally time.
Yeah, and then what would be funny, the end of the movie would be he's the only one that sees the impending doom, but he can't tell anybody because he's not connected. So
Well,
no
there you
one
go.
will listen to him because he's not connected, and then the earth blows up or whatever. And he's the only one that he's like trying to tell, like it's going, and so that'd be good. That's a good Twilight Zone show right there.
There you go.
There we go. I'm gonna call it Rocket Science. I'm just kidding. So,
Oh, no. Do you have any idea how many books are titled Rocket Science?
well, even
Just do a search
Are
on- do it.
educational books called Rocket Science?
Yes.
So just
There's like 20 textbooks on actual rocket science.
well, yeah, but people always say like, "Oh, are you smart as a rocket science?" But I always wonder if the book itself said like Rocket Science 101. And, like that's the actual
most of them
teaching book.
most of the books that I saw, even the textbooks, were ironically titled
well,
because it was
Well, I mean,
basically
like, if you're-
basic physics.
yeah, because I feel like there's an actual like a complex word for rocket science. It's not called rocket science. It's called like aerodynamic something.
advanced
propulsion or something. Yeah, or something. You know,
It's advanced ballistics, a little bit of aerodynamics.
but there's a fancier word than rocket science.
There is a fancier word than rocket science. Yes, generally people say rocket science ironically.
Okay, that's good.
Again, it's not rocket science.
But that's not, your title of your book is rocket science.
Yes,
So,
but it's not about rockets or science.
well, that's for them to find out, because you have a rocket on the front,
It's actually a flat that looks like a rocket.
so you're lying.
No,
It's a what? A flat?
it's a flat.
A flat?
It's a theater flat.
I have no idea what a theater flat is. Is it something
You sit down in a theater, you see the walls, the beautiful walls that are in, I don't know, the apartment on Central Park.
Okay.
None of those are real walls.
Okay.
They're made up of 3 or 4 foot wide panels. Sometimes they're hard sided, which means they have a piece of Luan board on the front.
Okay.
Most often they're soft sided, which means they just have a piece of canvas stretched across it.
And then this thing.
And that's a flat. Each one of those is called a flat. And that's a theater flat. Because you'll make a theater flat that just looks like a thing and stick it out there. And
make it look.
in a standard proscenium theater, you only see the front.
Yeah. See, I can't imagine. See, I was on the board of a community theater over at the Players Theater Company.
I've been on the board of 2 community theaters.
And they asked me because they I quote, needed somebody who had nothing to do with this theater. And I didn't understand what that meant when they asked me.
They meant not crazy.
And well, that's what basically they were like, we need to find people. They need to have, because boards, it's a nonprofit. So if people don't know, nonprofits have boards, and the boards make the important decisions that like rules or money or whatever.
Yes.
And they're like, yeah, we need somebody that's outside. That's
Or they
not,
rubber stamp the decision that was already made by somebody who has the actual power in it.
Yeah. See, that wasn't me. I'm a high bribe. And usually it's something dangerous, so no one wanted to give in to my bribe. But everyone I quickly learned everyone involved was doing something in some other play, something. So I was like, oh, I get it why they asked me, because I will never do a play. I'll never direct. I'll never be the light guy. I'll never be the sound guy. I'll never do that, because it's amazing how much time you have to commit to something like that. I'm like, I don't have time for that at all right now. And so I think that's why they asked me. I had time to be on the board, but not 3 weeks straight of some musical doing sound. I was like, no, I'm not doing that every night. Who do you think I am?
Well, that meant you had more time to be on the board. Which, board members do a lot of stuff behind the scenes.
It was tough. Like, I'm on the bowling board here in the Montgomery County, and it's amazing how inefficient I am with emails. Because if you imagine having like a text conversation with 15 people.
Oh yeah, well that's why you got my headshot in the picture and the cover photo this morning. I don't even check my email but about once a week.
Well, it's not even that. It's like people have gotten to the point where they treat emails like conversations instead of like written out thought. So you'll get 15 emails saying, "Yeah, sure. What do you think? Yeah, I think that's great. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool." And then all of a sudden you see all of these stack, and you're like, "All right, somewhere in there is where the question is." So I got to find it. And I
see everybody who would treat an email like that for me just texts me usually. Most of my emails that aren't something that I expect are Albanians telling me exactly how I can expand my penis.
Oh, is that spam?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you never.
Beautiful Albanian girls will help you to expand your penis.
Yeah. There's the spam out there. It's pretty great.
Pretty hilarious.
Yeah. Well, the scary thing is the Facebook ones, because you get messages now, and it's like I got a message from my aunt. It says like, "Oh, I thought of you, and I saw this picture," and I'm like, she never ever messaged me on Facebook, but we talk. And I was like, I don't.
Oh, they actually hacked her account, huh?
I guess. And I was like, I was gonna click on it, and then I go, no. Because I texted my mom and her, like, them together. I was like, hey, I got a message from you. And I don't want to seem rude, but it's like, is it you? Because it was a very sweet message, and I was like, it's like, no, it's not me. I'm like, good thing I didn't click that. But
yeah, I get a lot of. I used to get a lot of duplicate accounts from people. Where they'd steal a profile pic. And,
I feel like that would be a badge of honor if someone stole my profile
Oh no, these were
and
nobodies.
pretended to be. Well, I mean, somebody wanted
I mean,
that.
it's not like Sean Thompson with 50,000 friends and family. It's like people with 30 friends and family. But at the same time, you know, I guess that's more trustable in their mind, you know.
Yeah, there's only 50 friends.
Because like I'm a nobody. If I send you a thing that says these Albanian prostitutes will make your penis better, you'd be more likely to believe me and click on the link.
I guess I don't know. I mean,
I'm pretty sure you'd be like, well, why is Brett telling me about
'cause,
Albanian
who was it?
prostitutes
Who was
again?
It? Who was it? It was we had a tax person in one time. And he said they're prone to get hacked because when they get hacked, they send out all their stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And say, hey, your taxes. We have an issue with your taxes. We need you to do this. And he's like, and the success rate is like 100%. Because that's how when they get those tax offices information, it's like any email they send from there.
Oh yeah,
people are gonna click on it because it's like my taxes.
They don't even need to hack them. They just use a spoofer. That pretends to be.
That's nuts.
That office and if you're not expecting, well, number one, nobody who takes your money is ever going to use email as their primary contact because it's just too easy to fake it. It's too easy to break into it. Like every year, people get scammed by the by people spoofing the IRS, and they get an email that says, "You're about to go to jail for an blah, blah, blah."
Yeah,
okay,
I've seen that.
IRS never contact you by email.
Yeah,
they don't contact you by phone. They contact you using
mail.
They send you mail. They send you mail. They send you a guy with mail. Then they send the special service, Secret Service.
Really?
Yeah, that's it. That's
You sound like you've had experience with this.
I do not have personal experience with it, but I know a couple of people who have.
I kind of want to do it just to see if they do it. You know, like I've been waiting for you guys.
Well, I mean, it takes a while. They don't. It's not like you know. It's not like they're going to come down here and arrest Buford Pusser for not paying his $500 in income taxes because he won 5 numbers on the lotto.
Yeah.
They're coming after $1 million hitters or people who are consistently not paying taxes.
Yeah, some people don't pay taxes. It's kind of amazing. Looking at you, Brad, do you pay your taxes?
I pay my taxes every single year.
That's good. I pay it every leap year. That's mine. Every leap year.
Every 4 years.
Every 4 years I pay it. Like,
to be fair, my birthday's on February 29th, so
I like it.
All of my years are 4 years.
That's how you have to do it. And but you know, is there anything you want to tell the audience about specifically about the book? Because it's a fiction comedy about people that happen to be involved with community theater.
Yes.
That's kind of the gist of it.
Yes.
So that was in your brain, and you had to get it out.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's hilarious. Or do you identify yourself with any of the characters? So when I'm reading it, I'm thinking, "Oh, this is Brett."
The main character, Dave, is... Oh, I'm sorry. The main character, Dave, is perfect Brett.
Okay.
He's the guy that I would like to be if I wasn't the broken person that I am.
I like how you keep referring to yourself as a broken person.
Everybody's a broken person, as you said.
Yeah,
everybody's a little bit broken. Some of us are more broken than others. And, you know, I mean, if you're going to do any kind of art, you're going to be broken. You know, Coleridge didn't write the Rime of the Ancient Mariner because he was having a great day. And nobody has ever written a novel where every other page is feeling fine, looking good.
Well, I mean, like, it's kind of hard to say that because, you know, the best kind of art comes from, you know,
pain,
from tragic
things. It all comes from pain.
And even like the comedy stuff, it's still good.
Oh man, the funniest comedy comes from people who are just dying inside.
But I don't know.
Which sounds horrible the way I said it.
Maybe I'll be the first artist is not in pain.
Well, you're an interviewer. You don't need to be in pain.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in pain right now talking to you.
Oh,
So I'm trying to relate. So that's what I'm trying. I'm just kidding.
Trying to relate.
But
I am an oak tree.
yeah, I mean, I'm a fig tree, I guess. I don't even know. Oh, well, bonsai tree. That's the tree I'd be.
Oh wow, you have a lot of pain.
Yeah, you gotta take care of me all the time. Or what happens to bonsai trees is like if you don't take care of
They
them.
grow into actual trees.
So why don't they want that?
Because the whole art of bonsai is the specific, careful control
Yeah.
of the growth to create a work of art.
So when you see those little bonsai trees, they're not little. I mean, like they're some.
I mean, they do still grow.
but they don't grow like big as like a house.
They can be, yeah.
Man, that's awesome. And so hypothetically,
I mean, if a whole family is taking care of
yeah,
them,
for generations you're
yeah.
doing that. Wouldn't that be amazing?
I'm pretty sure there are some in Japan that are
That's
that way.
amazing.
Huge in that way.
See that I like that. That's fun. Can you imagine being that one kid who doesn't want to do it? It's like this tree's been in our family for 7 generations. I don't really want to cut a tree. Like, I think that's mean. You know, like I'm
Okay,
a tree
there's
hugger.
your anime.
But okay, I like that. So yeah,
There's-
I'd be a bonsai tree.
A bonsai tree.
I'd now have to
A
think.
tortured dwarf tree that's had your leaves pulled off.
Yeah, the
at
world's
regular
doing that
intervals.
to me.
Just watered on
It's
one
the
side.
world's fault, not my fault. The world's cutting my limbs. See, I'm already in it. I'm already in it. Now I want to be on the stage and show everyone. Okay, you know, I'll
Okay, the people who talk about the world being mean to me,
yeah,
they're usually the villain. You know that, right?
yeah, of course.
Oh, okay. So you see yourself as the villain.
Oh yeah, but I mean, I gotta change some stuff up. Like, I don't want to be a good guy. Good guy's boring.
Eh,
Because the only bad thing I don't like in stories about a character that's good is at one point it's gonna be like such a gray area, and it's just like, just do it, just kill that person so the world's safe. Just do it. Like Batman, that was like one thing I really liked about Batman because
Batman doesn't kill.
doesn't kill, and like that was constant with the Joker, and then like
Yeah.
trying to it's all these cool problems, but then when you start writing him in a way where like kind of like the Superman problem, like Superman's flying through all these buildings, clearly killing people.
The Man of Steel movie, man. I hate
Whatever
that.
that, but I'm talking about like Batman he won't kill people, but he's driving 150 miles an hour on the highway, trying to catch the Joker. And clearly, people are getting hurt.
Oh,
So
yeah.
does that not count?
Oh, I mean, and Batman has killed,
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
not intentionally, and when they say Batman doesn't kill,
I mean,
it means Batman's not going to pull out. Number one, Batman hates guns because childhood trauma. But it's not. So he's not going to pull out a 45 and shoot you in the face.
Yeah.
But he is going to. He can kill people.
So he'll beat
As-
someone. Okay. I don't know.
Collateral damage. As collateral damage, you could die. It's like going to war. You don't shoot somebody who's got his hands up and his hands behind his head. You don't shoot the guy like this, but everybody else, go ahead, bam.
Yeah, it's true. I mean,
Superman doesn't kill specifically, and that's what I hated about Man of Steel was
all the people he killed.
all the people he killed. Because yeah,
It was great. It was
never
great.
mind the whole thing where he snapped Zod's neck.
Yeah.
All of the people in the city that just
Oh, it was great. You're
had
sitting there
millions of tons
Well,
of
no,
concrete
and
on
then-
top
no,
of them.
what was it? I remember that being one of the biggest complaints about Man of Steel. And then they released Batman vs. Superman, I think it was.
Uh-huh.
And the opening scene is the other perspective where
Yeah.
it's Bruce Wayne on the ground trying to get away, like move away in the city while they're blowing up the city.
Well, he's actually moving into the
In this
city
area.
to save people.
Yes. And you just see this chaos and you're like, oh, they're telling us again that they don't care about Superman and writing Superman because they're showing it again.
Yeah.
That he's just killing, especially that poor kid and the mom, or was it her dad or something, like one of the Bruce Wayne picked up the little girl and the little girl's
Oh, yeah,
dad
her
got
mom.
cr-
Her
got
mom was
cr- boom, he got splat. And you're just like, oh, man. But that doesn't happen in this book, right?
No
falling buildings.
No falling buildings.
No aliens.
But there is death, and there is
Yeah.
some very very tragic death.
When you write a book like this,
Okay.
you're already writing it because you're putting words down on the paper.
Yes.
But when you're looking at it visually, do you think of it as a stage play, or do you think of it as like just little?
I think of it as a life.
As like so you're
People living their lives.
So you have
going
like
on.
you the author have this special lens into these people's life, and it's not any.
I try to.
And then you're listening and you're just rewriting what they're talking about, basically. Because I see
Pretty much, yeah.
Because some people write like, oh, I want to write each scene, but in a book style. So like they focus on each scene. How long can they write each scene?
Yeah, so they're basically writing a movie only in book form.
But in book form, and then or each chapter or whatever. And then some people.
Well, I mean, have you read Jurassic Park, the book?
Michael Crichton?
Yeah.
I've never read it. No.
Oh, you should read Crichton. You'll like Crichton. Crichton writes like he's writing, like he's laying out the movie.
Okay.
So
I like westerns a lot. Like I like Zane
man,
Grey.
I love westerns. Louis L'Amour. Have you ever?
No,
you've never read Louis L'Amour, and you say you like westerns?
Well, I mean, I don't read every day, which is sad.
Well, Louis L'Amour is a quick
I'm a
read.
bonsai tree.
Okay.
I'm a bonsai tree. I don't have control over my growth. Okay. Let's get with it. But no, I think the last book that I read that I really liked was Lonesome Dove, and that's got to be 7 years ago.
Oh well.
Well, now I got a new book to read.
Well, after you finish reading my book, read the Sackett series by Louis L'Amour. It starts out in
The Sackett?
The Sackett series, yes.
Okay.
It's a series of about 20 books following a single family through American history.
Okay.
I think it starts in like the 1500s.
Got it. All right.
And moves on through into the
there's
into
a
the
lot of
late
books.
19th century. Yeah, I think there's like 25 books in the series.
Jeez.
They're very thin.
That's
books.
such a great recommendation to somebody who hasn't read in a while. Oh, hey, you should read this series. It's 29 books.
Well, the thing is, the great thing about it is you can skip around. You don't have to read them all.
Okay.
Because each one is it's not like one of those YA series where you have to have read all 4
Is it going to end
Harry Potters before you know what's going
That's
on in
true.
the 5th one.
Hey, it's funny about the Harry Potter books is my mother bought one for me. She's like, these
Really?
are these are popular. You need to read this. And I was like, okay.
So your mom's a Satanist?
So I read it, and then it turned out it was the 3rd book. And I was like, I feel like I'm missing a lot of stuff. And then I look at the spine, it says like year 3. And I'm
It's
like,
got a big old 3 on it.
I don't. Well, you know, my mom was just like,
I know.
I want you to read, and then I was like, this is so wild. Reading that book, I was like, I feel like I'm missing so much stuff.
I mean, they're awesome books.
But yeah, because that I'm gonna check because Lonesome Dove was really good, and my favorite book all time is The Riders of the Purple Sage. That's my favorite book.
Okay.
But I don't know who wrote it. I forget it. It might be Zane Grey, but I don't think it is.
I think you're right. I think it is Zane Grey.
Yeah, because I just don't remember a lot of stuff. Wow. Yeah. Oh, the FM guys here. Working on the FM stuff.
Oh,
So,
wait, what?
the FM signal.
Yeah.
We're doing some work.
Oh, really?
That's
Is that
what.
a
Yeah,
postal signal?
No, it's compliance stuff. Trying to do like emergencies, make sure everything. You'd be surprised how serious the FCC is about emergencies.
I'm not surprised by.
So
how
they do
serious
tests.
are
I
very
think they do a
serious about
test
stuff.
every week. There's a major test. I'm learning all about it because it's really important for us because 104.5, 106.1 is the disaster emergency channel here in Conroe.
Well, you remember when you were at the old location, you and Sean were pretty lax about your required station ID. And
Oh no!
when I was on the show, I'd be poking. It's like, okay, you got a hard break coming up.
Yeah, well, no, we're good because I played it at the 9 o'clock, so it's not 10 o'clock yet. So
Oh,
we're
I
good.
know. But back in the day,
Oh yeah. We just talk and talk and talk.
like, oh, it's 10:15. Wow, you have a hard break coming up 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, true. But let's kind of talk more about the book so that listeners can understand. It's available on Amazon, and
Yes.
if you have Amazon Prime, because it says Kindle Unlimited,
Kindle Unlimited, you can read it for free.
you can read it for free, or you could buy it on Kindle or whatever that's called.
Yeah, and it's been out for almost a year,
Yeah,
but it's going to get pulled at the end of this month
on Kindle or on.
entirely.
Oh,
I'm going to pull it for a month. I've got some stuff to add to the end to tighten up the end a little bit.
So if I buy it right now, I'll get like the inferior version. So the book I'm reading right now is the inferior.
It is
version.
not the inferior version. It's there's about 1,000 words that I'm going to add on, and I'm going to change the cover.
Yeah, I would.
The cover's a little confusing. You see a rocket. Yes, I understand. I'm going to change the cover, add a little bit of an ending to tighten up the ending just a little bit, and re-release it for $2 more.
Okay. That's
because. Okay, so I
Daddy's
released it last year.
Daddy's got to eat.
Oh. So I released it last year, and I have sold 3 in a year.
Yeah. Well, it's all promotion. It's all about promotion.
I am terrible at promotion. I am absolutely terrible.
Well, when I see you
about
on social media, you're fighting with people. You're fighting with the world.
I am not fighting with the world.
You're fighting with the world.
I take offense at that, sir.
You need for a good follow.
Fisticuffs at noon.
Yes, Brett's a good follow on social media because if you want to see some funny stuff occasionally, you're like, all right.
Snark. I'm all about the snark.
I like it. So,
but I had a guy who was supposed to be doing my marketing for me, my major marketing for me. And the thing is, every time we sat down to get serious about the marketing, some awful thing would happen to him. It's like we'd have a business lunch, and then the next day an airplane engine would fall on his house or something. It's like, I mean, it wasn't even just minor stuff. It was like biblical crap.
So that's when you flip the coin and see where you want to go from there.
So after 8 months of that, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to let him off the hook because at some point I could see his entire neighborhood bursting into flames.
I like it.
You know, I mean, I'm not superstitious, but at some point you have to say, you know, somebody's saying this guy is not allowed to be involved in this project.
Yeah, I feel like.
In fact, you know, I got a story about that.
About the same guy? Or
no,
is he dead?
Different guy entirely.
Okay.
Actually, a lawyer down in Houston. But we were doing a show called Lend Me a Tenner.
I feel like I've heard of this show before.
I'm sure you've probably seen it because you're loosely involved in local theater.
Yeah.
You either heard of or have watched a lot of the shows. Lend Me a Tenner is one of the shows that's in the rotation. It's one that every community theater does eventually.
Yeah, every 10 years or whatever it is.
Yeah. So anyway, we're doing this show, and this guy refers to the play Macbeth in the green room. Now, for those of you who are not theater people, if you're in a theater referring to the play Macbeth as the play Macbeth in the theater is a no-no.
Hold on. Slow down and do that again.
Is a no-no?
If you're doing...
If you're not doing Macbeth and you refer to the play Macbeth inside the theater, that's a bad thing. Okay. That causes a curse to happen.
If you're verbally saying it.
Yes.
Okay.
If you say Macbeth in the theater and you're not actually referring to the play.
Okay, now I understand.
And you're not actually in the play, that's a bad thing. And even if you're referring to the play, you refer to it as the Scottish play.
I love it. Okay.
Now, there are some people who go further with the superstition, and there's ways to undo it by turning around 15 times with your eyes closed and your nose on your head, which I assume is always there.
Yeah.
So anyway, this guy refers to Macbeth as Macbeth. And everybody in the green room's like, ooh. And he goes, oh, I don't believe any of that superstitious crap.
There we go.
So this night, he gets hit by 2 doors, brains himself coming down the stairs because there was an overhang that we would brain ourselves on anyway. Brains himself coming down the stairs on an overhang, trips over all kinds of things, and actually got his hand caught in a door all in one night.
I mean, but see, that's enough to like reevaluate.
That's enough to reevaluate your superstitions.
That's true. I mean, yeah, because that's one thing that whole, and it's interesting you wrote a book about that setting because it really does have such a unique ins and outs of not even just people, but just the ecosystem there. It's so wild, and anything can happen, and That's a great little area to write in. I bet it's going to be a good book. I know I'm excited about reading because I haven't read.
Cool.
So
You should read it. You should read it right now. Read it out loud.
I'll read it. Well, sorry.
Pick a page and start reading.
I'm definitely not doing that. I'm dyslexic.
I'm like your fifth grade English
That's so
teacher.
mean.
Oh, really?
That's so
okay.
yeah. You know how long it took me to read Lonesome Dove? Took me like I want to say at least 3 or 4 months.
Because you definitely should have read Louis L'Amour.
Because I had to read
like this thick.
I had to read it like twice, like each page. I was like, did I?
It took me a month to read Lonesome Dove, and I'm a fast reader.
No, it was tough, and I read it all outside at B-52's.
So McMurtry
brewery.
just is so wordy.
I like it. I like Call a lot. I like those people.
Description porn.
Yeah, I'm all about it. I'm all about it. Like I like Dune. Dune was a great book. Yeah. That was fun.
One of the reasons Lord of the Rings is so long, it's like if you take all 6 books, all 3 volumes, 6 books, it's like 2,500 pages long. You know why it's so long? Description porn.
Yeah.
There's an entire
it's
section
funny.
of Fellowship of the Ring.
You know, see, I remember I read The Hobbit. I really liked The Hobbit.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is so great. And my mom was like, oh, you like The Hobbit? Here, I got you Lord of the Rings. And I was like, this book sucks.
I know.
Like, this is nothing like The Hobbit. Like, or just,
especially, because they did it in the movie Fellowship of the Ring. They did it partly with kind of a montage.
Yeah.
But that montage of the trip south to Moria or whatever they call it.
To the mines?
To the mines?
Yeah. That's like
oh, my God. It's like 200 pages, and 90% of it is descriptions of how boring and stupid the land is. Well, brown lands that were brown and flat and brown with the flame. There were some slight hills.
You didn't
the brown
do that
and the
in rocket science.
No, I'm not really good at description porn. I'm all about metaphors. Sometimes painfully specific metaphors.
Yeah, there's that's one thing I enjoy about certain books is when it goes over my head, and then like 5 years later, something will like I learned something that's connected to it, and you're like, oh,
that's what he was.
That's what's going on.
I love that.
Yeah, because they're like I read the Foundation series, and I still don't probably comprehend like any of it still, but it was such a fun read because it's such a futuristic kind of thought.
Yeah,
and I love future stuff. I love like concepts, like what could come from this.
Asimov's awesome,
and it was just fun. Like there were certain elements I was like, this guy's this boring part, but then it's like, okay, let's see where this goes.
Yeah,
and then,
he's actually one of the people I want to be. I mean, he wasn't a mentor of mine, but kind of like that. He's one of my idols.
Yeah, his books are fun.
I mean, he's such a smart guy.
Yeah, it's fun.
But he writes in such a down-to-earth way.
Yeah.
Asimov is the only single author that has a book in every single major division of the library.
Even like nonfiction?
Mm-hmm.
What did he do? Stars, or what did he do?
Well, he was a physicist to begin with.
Okay.
But he's got stuff in astronomy. He's got in every single major biology, philosophy, all of that. He's got a book in every single major.
Because I haven't read like
library.
what did sheep dream? What is it called? Robots dream of sheep.
Do androids dream of electric sheep? That
Yes.
was Philip K. Dick.
Hold on, I thought Asimov wrote iRobot.
He did write iRobot.
What's iRobot's original name?
iRobot.
Is it?
Yeah.
Why did I get that confused then?
iRobot was a short story.
Yeah.
That was part of a series of stories that was collected in a collection called iRobot. But they're all about different robots following Asimov's three rules of robotics. The first one is
the first one's do no harm to.
The first story was Little Lost Robot.
Okay.
And it's about a robot that was doing industrial work on a foreign planet.
You mean WALL-E?
Not WALL-E. But it's like on Mercury or on Mars or something. Anyway, it was going across the
land or
the light.
Okay.
Where Mercury is super cold on one side, super hot on the other side.
Oh, because this is not okay. Cool. Okay, I'll go with it.
Huh?
I'm going with it.
Well, it has no atmosphere, but it's really close to the sun. So
yeah.
So the sun side is super duper hot, like
yeah. And
literally hotter than a human can imagine.
does it not rotate?
The backside, it does not rotate.
Really? That's scary.
Of the
That's got to be so
of the four inner
weird.
planets, our rotation is the fastest, and the other two don't actually. I mean, they rotate, but they rotate in a helio.
Yeah, so they don't turn. They just are
Heliotropic. Yeah, they're heliotropic.
yeah, so they just revolve around the sun. But that
Mercury
point,
and Venus both face the sun all the
yeah,
time.
all the time. Okay, yeah, I didn't know that. So what about this little robot? What's he doing?
Okay, so he gets to a certain point, and then he stops and comes back and turns around, comes back, goes back and forth. Basically, what they found out was that because the first rule is do no harm to humans.
Yeah,
As long as it doesn't conflict with
rule
the
one,
first rule,
do no harm.
always obey a human.
Okay, yeah.
No,
I thought it was do no harm to yourself.
do no harm to yourself.
Yeah.
And as long as it doesn't conflict with the first two rules, always obey a human being. So what would happen was they told the robot to go do the thing in the harm side, but he'd get there and it would conflict, and then he'd come back and he'd go, no, I have to go do and it was having like a meltdown, a nervous breakdown, because it was different. Yeah. Weird robot psychology.
I like it. No, it's fun.
It was a great book. I'm describing it horribly badly because last time I read it was like 30 years ago. So
Yeah, I get it. But I want to remind folks, I'm sitting here with Brett Hainley. He's the author of Rocket Science. You can buy it in the description below on Amazon. Just look up Rocket Science or look up Brett Hainley or Brett D. Hainley.
Yeah.
And then, but Brett, I want to say thank you so much for coming in. We got to be wrapping up. It is at 9:40 or 9:54 right now, and we're gonna turn the hour and play that stupid ID that we're required to play. So so stupid. I'm just kidding. It is what it is. But is there anything else you want to say before you go?
buy my book. No.
Yeah, buy his book.
Yeah, buy my book. Definitely buy my book. Buy that book, Rocket Science. It is not a children's book. It is mostly for adult. There's some very adult concepts in it.
That's another one thing I loved growing up.
Teenage sex and pregnancy are in it.
That's one of the things I love.
There's abortion
I love
in there.
teenage-
There's death. There's homosexuality.
There's everything.
But nothing
You just described community
bad.
theater. You just described community
I
theater.
mean, it's not like an HBO book. It's never going to be an HBO series.
Yeah.
But
Well, I just remember growing up, like reading, and then like when you finally read that book that is an adult book, you're like, whoa, you can say this kind of stuff. And
oh yeah, yeah. Or
I think that book was The Sword of Truth for me.
see,
I don't know if you've ever heard of that series, but it's like a fantasy. Yeah.
your generation wouldn't be experienced with it, but my generation, what would happen is Judy Blume books,
Judy Blume.
because Judy Blume wrote beautiful, growing, coming of age books, mostly for girls. But you know, I've never really believed in for girls. She wrote "God, Are You There?" It's Me, Margaret.
Yeah, because they're coming out with that movies.
But she also wrote Wifey and a bunch of really salacious books.
I mean, well, that's what I'm saying. That
described
world
in intimate detail.
Well, that's what it's funny because I think of this current commentary about libraries and banning books, and I'm thinking to myself, it's like because that's where I'd get my books.
Well, the specific book that the parents are complaining about.
No, I know. I'm not really talking about specific. I'm talking about like growing up.
Yeah.
The only where I could get books is at the library, so I would just read those books. But then when I started going like, oh, I wonder where else. Like when you actually start making money, you can buy your own books.
Yeah.
And that's what I was like when I read the Sword of Truth series. It had some very like sexual themes to it, and I was like, this is crazy. I never read a book like this. And I'm like, oh, it's probably because all the books I've ever read have been in the library from the school. So it's like
school library. And
yeah,
it's like, no,
they're not going to let you read this
they're not going to let your 12-year-old.
and I was just like, this is crazy. And then, but yeah, it's just funny. Like people are complaining about today. I'm like, yeah, it's probably a good thing that we're not letting kids read that kind of stuff because no telling what. Because I was so surprised because the Sword of Truth they made a TV show. And it was made by the same production company who did Hercules and Xena. So I was like, oh, this is really
Renaissance?
cool. It's what's the Sam Raimi?
Sam Raimi's. Yeah, Renaissance.
It's same people. And then I was like, this is a neat story. I like this story. Where did it come from? And then I was, Terry Goodkind wrote this epic tale. And I'm like, I'm going to buy that book. How much is that? And then, but yeah, that's when I was like, that's why libraries don't let you read books like this because this is nothing like a TV show. Like I was sitting there like,
Well, I mean, unless the TV show came on HBO.
That's true.
Because if it was an HBO TV show, then it'd be more.
You know, it's funny. I had no desire to read the Game of Thrones series.
I never have either.
I'm a big sci-fi guy.
I haven't even
like
seen the
fantasy
Game of
and
Thrones series.
See, that's what I remember. Everyone was hyped up about it. And I watched it, and I was like, I guess this is like fun, but there's not enough like action for me.
Everything I know about Game of Thrones, I know through advertisements and through other people commenting on it.
Yeah, it was just. I was like, if this is anything like the books, this would be terrible because everyone's just like sleeping with each other, and it's like.
Oh no! That just happens in the first 3 seasons.
Well, no, but in the book, I'm saying like if I had read the book, I'm like, is that all I'm going to be reading? Because I can see that being a big part of the book, and I'm like, oh great. So
I don't know. I haven't read the books.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I had no desire.
I gather that they're based loosely on the Wars of the Roses in England, which there wasn't a lot of that whole everybody sleeping with each other going on at that time, but there was a lot of people getting murdered for no good reason. Well, I mean, it was a good reason they wanted to be king, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, people just led with their emotions back then, so that's what it was. But this is Mornings with Lone Star. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have Brett Hainley in the studio, and make sure to buy his book Rocket Science on Amazon. We're going to get back to the programming, regular programming here on Lone Star Community Radio. Just a reminder, Cindy Cochran is going to be live today at 2 o'clock. That's going to be a wonderful time. She actually has Andrew's wife in who works at a TV network, and I don't think they're going to talk about the Astros thing, about TV. They're going to be on TV or not. I don't know if that's like I don't really know what's going on. If you didn't know this, Brett, that the Astros and the Rockets are on a specific TV network. Well, they're not renewing their rights.
Okay.
So as of right now, you have nowhere to watch the Astros coming opening day, and opening day is like in 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Pretty sure the MLB contract overrides the Astros contracts.
Well, that's what people buy DirecTV because they want the Astros.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, we're not going to be on DirecTV anymore. Now you have to buy this, and people are going to be like, whoa.
Oh, okay.
Like, what do I do? People, you know how long it takes people to get to DirecTV to get the Astros? It took them like 5 years to convert. It's like, so now you're going to expect people to buy an app, and they're like, I don't know, what's an app? Like that kind of stuff. So, but she's coming in. It's going to be a fun show. It's going to be great. Guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back after these messages.